FT fam? It's Braun and Pierzynski, OG team. And you can also, that's it. It's just us and a lot of guests because we always have guests. Our guest booker is first class. It's a huge team of guest bookers. There's about 20 of them, and they work on the guests each day. I'm kidding. But he is a superstar. Anyway, AJ, this one's for you before we get into some notable news about your favorite ball club. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, even if you're watching TV right now and you would like to chat with us during the show. That is the way to say hello. I respond to almost everyone at least once per day if they ask us something that makes sense and don't make fun of, I don't know, something stupid. Even if you do, actually, I usually reply. And then also you can join the FT YouTube channel as a member if you want to contribute a few bucks a month, and you get all the cool emojis. And you get members only content, videos about past clubhouse conversations. You can find out what AJ looks at on his phone to ignore me. There are so many things that you can do.
Right now, I can't chat today because I have to use my iPad so I can't get in the chat today. So I'm trying to pull it up on my phone, but then I have to have Slack so I know when we're going to break. And then, so there's a lot happening right now because normally I do it on a computer when I'm not at home. As you can see, I'm in Stark Vegas, moving my daughter into Mississippi State. So, normally I do it on a computer, though, when I'm on the road. But today, for some reason, the internet at the hotel I'm staying in isn't awesome. So I'm having to do it off of Wi-Fi or off of the 5Gs. Thank you, AT&T, for being able to do this on my iPad.
Yeah, you're such a businessman with your Slack and you're chatting with your fans. But it's okay. I'll represent you today in the chat. So if anyone asks a question for you, I'll just give my best AJ answer. But you're busy today anyway, so let's charge the damn mound.
Charging the mound.
You're busy because it happened. It happened. The Chicago White Sox are on a one-game winning streak. They won a ball game against the Oakland A's. Let's go. It's over.
It's a miracle. It's a Christmas miracle. It's a Christmas miracle. Listen, Jonathan Cannon threw the ball really well last night. Benintendi obviously hit the home run. I feel bad for my guy, Ross Stripling. What did I say in our locks yesterday, though? I was like, today's the day it ends. I don't know why I had that feeling. I just was like, today is the day this ends. They obviously won 5-1, and it's over. But now the question is, now they become irrelevant again because everyone's just like, they're just a really bad team, right? When they were losing all these games, everyone was talking about them. We talk about them all the time. I mean, we're going to have White Sox Dave on later to let him rant and go off because he went to Oakland 2 nights ago now. So he got to see it. But the best part of this whole thing, look at the reaction. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know. They were all like, what do we do? We haven't won in 27 days. How do we react? And if you watch them coming off the bench, they're all like looking around like, do we shake hands? Do we act excited? What do we do? So, I mean, I thought it was great, but you know what? It's over. And now they can try to have a winning streak.
Yes, you can put together multiple wins. That's a thing. What would you have done if you were in this situation and you caught final out?
Jumped up and down. I mean, acted like I won the World Series. I mean, listen, you lose. I mean, I was on a team. We started 0-9 when I was at the Braves, and we won our first game in Miami, and we had a party because it was like, oh my gosh, we won a game. You feel like you're never going to win. So when we won a game, I was like, oh hell yeah, because I was trust me, I was the veteran guy too. I was like, oh, hell yeah, we're partying like it's 1999, boys. Let's go. And we tried, and some guys got into it. Some of them didn't, but it was still fun.
Did you see how the A's were trolling the White Sox? They played.
They got what they deserve, those damn Oakland A's. They got what they deserve. Nobody trolls the White Sox when they're 28-87 or whatever it is.
Some people were like, that's bold for the A's to be trolling the White Sox, playing 22 by Taylor Swift. I was like, I love it, though. I love any of that, like, little petty back and forth, making fun of the losing streak. That was great.
Listen, it was all fun. Trust me. If you think that's the worst the A's have ever trolled a team, I've been on lots of teams there where they try all kinds of stuff to troll you with their little speakers above their giant jumbotron that's about this big, and they show videos. Not as bad as when the Yankees used to show, like, when you're taking BP, it would be like Yankeeography, Chris Widger, the backup catcher from New Jersey who played in 7 games. Let's listen to why he's a Yankee legend. Stuff like that, but it was close.
You weren't on this show, and it was probably for the best. Reese McGuire had a little dust up with Cal Quantrill.
I was on it. I was on it.
You were on that show?
Oh, I was on that show.
Oh, you were on that show. Well, anyway.
And I said it was. I mean, listen, Cal Quantrill, he had that preloaded in his mind, what he was going to say. So yeah, but that's some serious.
That's trolling though. There's been I heard after we did that segment, some people told me after the fact that there's been some trolling of him by PA systems. Let's put it this way. Some music played, to try and troll him. So he's been through it too. Lastly, Ozzie Guillen joined us yesterday. It was very entertaining. It all still applies. Obviously, the good karma that we had from Ozzie and AJ together led to the win, or led to at least a little bit of higher spirits for the dub. So Ozzie also has the podcast version that you can listen to if you're on the go and type in Foul Territory. And he somehow wasn't on the post-game show last night. Poor guy. But he's watching, he's freaking out, and we have some sound from when he called in.
Are you calling because the Sox finally won a game?
Yeah, I know. I just tried to call you guys.
Yeah. You want to add some thoughts to the show?
Add some thoughts.
Happiness. I'll see you guys early.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Is that all you want to say? Happiness?
I want to say happiness. We can sleep nice and tight.
All right, you go to bed.
That's well done.
Sleep tight. We'll see you tomorrow, okay?
Say that. Sleep and tight and happiness.
This is the kind of analysis you want from Ozzie Guillen.
It is. I do love that. I mean, they're chilling on the
great.
couch. It's just such a good post-game show. So props to those
Dude, there
guys.
is no better. If you can find me a better post-game show with Chuck, who cares more than any other fan out there. I mean, Chuck literally cares more than almost any fan out there. And then you throw in Ozzie, and you never know what he's going to say, as we saw on the show here yesterday. And then Frank just laughs. When Frank gets laughing like that, it is just awesome stuff. And man, I mean, that is the one post-game show I tune into, especially when they're not doing well.
Yeah, exactly. It's more entertaining when they're not doing well. So you're right. The White Sox are irrelevant now. We will likely not talk about them. The only reason we'll talk about them is in about a month and change when they're creeping up on a potential all-time loss record. 120 is the number, right? That they have to stay under? Okay. Good luck.
What are they on now, 89?
Yeah, and they're on pace for, I think, 123-ish.
They were on 123 pace the other day. Oh, they're 28 and 88. So
Yeah,
they were on pace the other day for 123.5, I think. So it was 123 or 124.
So we're gonna table it. We're gonna stop talking about them for a little because there's good playoff races going on. So let's move to Framber Valdez. Almost pulled off another no-hitter about a year after he accomplished the feat last year. Whew. You're facing Corey Seager. That makes you earn it. You got to pull it off. I love when, you're in the ninth and you've got to face the best hitter on a team. And that was the situation here. Obviously, Framber was freaking dealing against Texas. Their offense has been disappointing this year, but Corey Seager's now done this twice in his career. He breaks up a no-no with 2 outs in the ninth. Not bad.
He's the only player to ever do it. They
Yep.
said. I saw where he's the only player to ever get 2 hits with 2 outs in the ninth to break up no-hitters. But this reminds me of the Dylan Cease game where he had to get through a rise. I mean, if I'm Framber Valdez, like he had walked he walked whoever was in front of Seager, and then he brought up Seager, and I was like, dude, just walk him too. Just throw him 4 curveballs in the dirt, and then I don't even know, maybe Marcus Semien was behind him. Like, take your chances on Marcus Semien. Because Corey Seager, oh, man, he's probably the only guy in the Texas lineup where you're like, I don't want to face him. And he hung it, and then Framber's reaction was great. He's like, has his glove, he has like his hands on his hips, and like a little kid, when they like lose their, they're like, I'm taking my ball and going home. That was Framber. Took his glove, put it on his hip, but great swing by Corey Seager. He got that breaking ball, didn't miss it, and man, sucks for Framber because he almost had 2.
He almost lost the game then after that. I mean, Hader comes in, and we went warning track on that Josh Young fly ball with a runner on. Otherwise, the game's tied. And also, Yordan Alvarez hit a home run late in that one where you're like, okay, cool, whatever. Framber's stealing. They needed that too because the Seager homer was a 2-run shot. So if you don't get that Yordan homer and that long fly ball goes a little further, all of a sudden your no-no with 2 outs turns into a tie ball game. So the Astros
by the way,
obviously need to pick up wins.
The young
right
ball
now.
that he hit was a homer in Houston. It was a homer, I think, in 3 of – it was in the upper deck. Sorry, Derek, in Yankee Stadium. That ball's in the upper deck. But in Houston, it was also a home run. So, just you know where you're pitching. But if you watch, I watched that game. I watched it from the 7th inning on. In the 9th inning, he walked the leadoff guy, and then he got a missile double play that Bregman made a really nice play on. Then he walked Josh Smith, and then Corey Seager obviously hit the home run. They took him out, and then Hader held on.
Yeah, and I mean it is a strong bullpen, but got a little dicey for them late. So the Astros are a half game behind the Seattle Mariners, who have dropped 2 in a row. Mariners are weird. It's a tough team to follow. I mean, again, I watch a lot of late night Seattle action. It gets frustrating out there, the low scoring games. They do move. They're quick games, but the Astros are just a half game back of first place. That puts Texas now 5 out. So just to size up these two, are we done? Are we done on Texas? No chance here? 5 games back, and it's not just one team you're chasing, it's 2, and it's only 1 playoff spot out of those 3 teams.
But are any of these teams dominant?
No.
No, well, that's the problem. Like, if you had Houston and Seattle that were, like, playing really well, and you're thinking, man, okay, this is good. Yeah, I don't think Texas has done it all. I mean, Molly came back yesterday. They ever get DeGrom back? I know Scherzer went on the shelf, but I think if they can ever figure out a way to get the offense going, and now that Young's back, if they can get Garcia going, I don't know. It's hard to write them off because 5 games isn't that much in a division that hasn't been great.
If you're watching this after the fact, or right now, if you're in the YouTube chat, FL Territory Show, let us know who you think's winning the AL West. Who do you got? Mariners or Astros? Do we need to do a little schedule?
I picked the Astros. I picked the Astros to go to the World Series, so I got to take the Astros.
Astros, yeah.
I also took the Braves, and I don't know that they're going to make it either.
Braves are in trouble. We'll talk about them later. But also, Houston calls up Zach DeZenzo. If you want more information on him, we'll run a little clip from Baseball America during a break for the YouTube audience. But here's some more
Polish,
insight.
Right? He's Polish. He's
I don't
Polish,
know.
Right?
You would know that answer better than I would. You got the nationality list better than I do. He's Polish?
No, I feel like DeZenzo is probably Italian. I'm just
Italian.
Thinking that.
Yeah, I would say Italian. 11 games above Double-A, and he crushed it for 2 weeks. And now they're going to see if he brings a spark. He's one of their better offensive prospects and has very high power upside. They're trying to catch lightning in a bottle too, since he's just swinging the bat so damn well. And some people were saying, is this the Evan Carter-like impact for the Astros that the Rangers received last year from Carter? We'll see. But, I mean,
yeah, but
if you're Houston, you give it a shot, right? I mean, he went whatever 0 for yesterday, but he can play next year at third base if Bregman leaves, which I think will probably be the case, and you can DH and move him around for now.
Yeah, but here's my question. Remember, was it Ozzy we had on? Who did we have on yet? Was it yesterday where they were like, man, they rush guys through? Who was that talking about it? Yeah, recently we had somebody talking about just rushing guys through. Maybe it was somebody I was talking about this week.
It was probably someone Angels related if you're talking about rushing, because that's what they do better than anyone.
It might have been one of the scouts I was talking to at the at the Hoover thing. I was out with my son, and they were like, man, guys just rushing through. And yeah, I mean, the guy played 11 games at AAA. He got hot. He had a good week. I mean, it's like, gosh, now we're going to just automatically assume he's going to do that at the major league level. It's tough to just put guys in these positions. And listen, even Evan Carter, he got hurt. I know, but like he wasn't, even when he wasn't hurt, he wasn't performing.
But my thing is, at the time you bring up Carter last year and you don't win a World Series without him. With DeZenzo, what's the worst that happens? He goes 0 for 25 and you send him back down, Jackson Holiday style. And then either you see him next year or he comes back up again and makes the changes he needs and he's better. I just think it depends on the personality, right? There might be some guys
come
that
up
take
and
it a little
listen,
harder.
they fail and they don't get it back. I'm just saying.
Yes. But there's some guys that can handle it. So you would hope that the organization understands what type of player it is and can he handle that, right? Like Jackson Holiday comes up for 10 days or 10 games, does not hit, goes down, and he immediately comes back up and looks like the Jackson Holiday that everyone anticipated with Baltimore now. So they weren't concerned about doing that. I think it's worth the risk if I'm Houston. You need a little jolt. They were coming off one of their worst losses of the year. The Caleb Ferguson gives up the walk-off knock the night before. And I just think, Kyle Tucker's been out for a long time. They need a little more.
Agreed.
I'll go Houston too. to win the division. All right, let's step aside. Whit Merrifield's going to join us next. We will get into the Atlanta Braves and how he went from Philly to Atlanta during the season. That's next on FT. Go get yourself a BA subscription to get more on the prospect we're about to get into. But that's Zach Tesenzo. Jeff, what do you know about him as the Astros make a call up here, coming off the big trade for Yusei Kikuchi, getting rid of some players that are obviously either up in the bigs or very close to the bigs, upper level prospects in terms of, how close they were to the majors or in the majors. What about this one? Did you expect this?
We had actually had a conversation earlier today for one of we're doing different breakdown podcasts, going through all the different systems. We did an ALS podcast. And I think I called it out to JJ earlier that I thought this guy could be up in the big leagues pretty shortly. He dealt with some injuries earlier in the year, was a guy that was kind of hot last year. I think didn't make our top 100, but had made some other industry top 100 lists. Was actually a 12th round pick out of Ohio State, guy that showed out in the draft league. Huge power. The contact and approach has really started to tick up. I think he's a little bit of an underrated athlete just in terms of a runner and what he can do defensively. He really been showing out since he was promoted up to AAA a couple weeks ago. I think through 11 games, 4 home runs, 14 runs, 13 RBIs. He's hitting 391, 472, 739, showing off that power. A guy that I thought was definitely in the mix next year, especially when you consider Alex Bregman on the last year of his contract. Desenzo plays the same position. This is definitely a name that I think could be interesting, especially if he gets some run here with the Astros. He has the ability. He's shown the hit ability, and it's major power. I think it's plus raw. You're talking about a guy that, max exit velocities the last couple of years have been well up over 110. 90th percentile was in that 107 range, which is pretty elite. In terms of just looking at raw power, he's kind of on par with, James Wood, Davis and De Los Santos, those guys that can really mash. And I think that there's, some hit tools was a little bit closer to Wood. Overall skills really interesting, kind of a late bloomer. But yeah, I think a player that if I was an Astros fan, I'd be excited to see what he can do over, the stretch run here.
He's muted.
Oh, there we go. Now I can hear you.
Sorry, that's my bad. We're back. Whit Merrifield joining us from the Phillies to the Braves. First time we have you on since traded. Whit, what's going on, man? How's the last few weeks been?
Crazy. Yeah, a little crazy. Sort of like getting traded, but in a kind of a less cool sense. So, yeah, I mean, it's just been a little hectic, but kind of getting settled in here in Atlanta and enjoying my time.
Can you go like this for me?
Uh-oh.
Where's the finger?
That looks good.
Oh, dude, that's nothing, bro, compared to what Rowdy did. Rowdy cut his finger off last year.
You want me to send you a picture of how it was about a week ago?
I mean, could you play through it? Could you play through it?
I tried. I really tried to get them to let me play through it, but I couldn't. I had 4 stitches. You can kind of see the holes, but I had 4 stitches going through my nail into like this top part of my finger, and it was really hard to get anything like on a throw. So I was really throwing kind of change ups off the bottom of my finger. Hitting was okay, but I really couldn't get anything on a throw. But playing second base, I was trying to talk them into like, when do you really have to let one eat from second base? But they weren't buying it. But I did talk them into keeping me off the IL, so I was pretty pumped about that. But Yeah, it was pretty gnarly, but it's healing nicely. I just don't have very much feel in the tip of my finger. But no, it's doing pretty good.
Was that your first ground ball you took as a Brave?
It was we were taking ground balls, like doing early work. I just got there. I had just been in the car for 5 hours, so I want to get on the field and do something. And it was the last ball I was taking before we went inside and did BP and everything. So yeah, it was a bummer, but it wasn't too terribly long.
Did you see Snit's comments about you when it happened?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
He's like, of course, we bring a new guy in and he gets hurt before he even does anything. He's like, this year's been unbelievable for the Braves.
Yeah, kind of one of those things. I've been playing. This is my 9th year, and I've never been on the IL. Never even had to be scratched from a game. So yeah, it's just kind of one of those things going around the team right now, and hopefully that it ended with this. When I was in Philly, talking to Trey Turner, and when he was in Washington, I asked him what was wrong with his finger one day, and it was the same finger, and it's all like jacked up, and he said that he broke it and ended up playing through it. Anyway, long story short, he said you have to sacrifice a finger to win the World Series. So hopefully this is the finger they had to sacrifice to win the World Series.
There you go. Hey, by the way, Mark Tian, you remember Mark Tian? He's a Royal legend.
Yeah.
He did that, but he broke his middle finger. But he did the same thing. Like he was feeling the ground ball, came up, hit him on the middle finger. He broke it. He missed like 2 months with a broken. I mean, same thing. It was crazy.
Yeah, it felt like if you're an infielder, you get bad hops and it hits you in the fingers, and really didn't feel like anything different. And really, it was my pointer finger that I was worried about, because it was the one I kind of looked down, and it's still bothering me a little bit, but it was the one that really hurt. Just that this finger wouldn't stop bleeding, and X-rays came back good, and then we didn't think much of it, and then it wouldn't stop, so we went to the hand doctor, and he said that when it hit, I guess it pulled the nail back, and then like the seam, I guess, caught the skin underneath the nail and just shredded it, and so they had to fix it.
Oof. Well, it's not you, dude. It's not fun. It's just like some Atlanta vibe thing going on this year. But even still, teams in playoff contention, obviously. So let's go even further back than when you get picked up by the team. What about in the off season? So we had you on after you signed, right? Probably like a week after you signed, you're with Philly. And we asked you about other teams that were interested. And you kind of hinted that there was another team in the division. Maybe they were, kind of closer to home. Was this one of those teams that was at least interested, or you had a conversation with in the offseason, and of course you ended up signing with Philly?
No, Atlanta was never really in the offseason. It just didn't I didn't fit the roster the way they had envisioned it going into the season. But obviously things happen throughout the course of the year, and it's a much better fit now.
Are you excited about it? Because this is a team that, you've had circled on your list. Obviously, you played in KC, had a great run there. You were coming from Toronto. Philly was a fun vibe, but Atlanta's had a lot of winning for a while.
Yeah, I mean, being a North Carolina guy, it's an honor to wear that tomahawk chop on my chest. Growing up watching TBS and seeing all these guys play, Andrew Jones, Chipper, Rafael Furcal. Those are my favorite guys. And
A.J. Pierzynski.
Let's see, Javi Lopez.
Yeah,
he's my favorite Braves catcher.
Where were you? You better tell Eddie Perez his mustache was your favorite. Well, he'll throw you good BP. Yeah,
he does throw a good BP. But no, it's an honor to be a Brave, and I've always wanted to be a Brave at some point in my career, and it's a treat to be in Atlanta and to wear that Braves jersey.
Can you bring any trade secrets over to Atlanta? I mean, I know you had fun with Philly, but it's a big division rival. Like, is that a thing where, if you guys face them again, I don't know if you have them the rest of the regular season, but even in the playoffs, if they're like, hey, what do you have on, starter XYZ or anything else that would be helpful? Do teams do that in baseball?
I mean, yeah, like, if you're on the team, you're going to be more familiar, with certain guys. So I would just call it like a little bit more of an advanced scouting report, I guess. I mean, there's no we don't run plays so that you can't steal their signs and tell them when a run's coming or when a pass is coming. So there's really nothing like that happens in baseball. Especially now with the pitch comm and guys, we don't people don't hit and run anymore or really bunt. So you pretty much just go out and play. So the best I can do is tell them, Wheeler's got a really good two-seamer and Nola's got a great curveball. Sanchi's got a good changeup. So nothing that they don't already know. But yeah, that's all I got really.
I mean, listen, back in the day when, we had guys get moved, you had to change everything because you had to change signs. So I remember when I was with the Twins, Tom Kelly was paranoid about when guys that were on our team at one point in the year went to a different team. So he would have a pitcher sit down at the end of the dugout, and he would give the signs by how he held his arms. So the third base coach would mean nothing, and you'd look and you're looking at the third base coach, but you were really looking at the pitcher that was behind him, and he would call the signs with the way he sat, or if he took his hat off or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't mind that hair, by the way. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's changed because you could. I mean, I guess you could do the first and thirds, but even those are on the pitch comm now, right? Everything is on pitch comm.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, first and thirds is probably the one thing that is, I don't know, the most used as far as when are we throwing to second, when are we redirecting, when are we throwing to third, when are we not throwing at all. So that's probably the most beneficial, I guess, thing that you could bring. But there's really not much being over there that I could bring to a new team to gain a big advantage. So it's just the way baseball works.
Hey, listen, in 2014 when the Red Sox DFA'd me and I went to the Cardinals, we played them a week later. We still gave signs. I was like, here's everything, boys. I'll give you every sign, the pitchers. I know all their pitches, what signs they like to use with guys on second. I'm like, I'll give you, what do y'all want to know? I'll give you guys everything. Scouting reports, what they like to talk about in their meetings. I'm like, here you go, boys. But yeah, like you said, it's different now. So I get it. But all right, so I got to ask this. Bryce Harper recruited you to Philly. He was one of the main guys in your corner. Did he say anything to you before you left?
We had a nice conversation. I told everybody, but that they released me when I got to the field for the next game on, I guess it was Friday. So I had time to. It wasn't I wasn't. It's just part of it. So I stuck around and made sure I saw everybody and said goodbye. And Bryce actually was late, a little bit later getting there. I think his kids had something to do that afternoon, so he was a little bit later showing. So I'd already left, but he called me when he got to the field and found out, and we had a nice conversation. So I love my time in Philly. I really did. That's such a great group of guys. From the staff, the front office, they're just a top-notch organization. I hate it didn't go better than it did. From my point of view, I just whenever I did get the chance to play, I just didn't make the most of it for whatever reason. It just seemed like it, as much as it felt like a good fit going into the year. From a playing perspective, it just didn't end up being a good fit, which is a bummer because I really did enjoy my time there. But yeah, it was a hard thing to leave. It was hard leaving those guys. I really enjoyed my time with those guys and getting to know those guys, and even for the short amount of time I was there, developed some great friendship, great chemistry with those guys, and wished them nothing but the best. I told them I wished them a little bit less, I guess, than the best now. But I'm always cheering for those guys. Just not quite as hard anymore.
Hey, listen, I get it because, like I said, when I was DFA'd or released in 2014 with the Red Sox, they called me in 7 in the morning. Like, hey, can you come in at 9 o'clock? Charrington, and I'm like, the game's at 7. Why do you need me there? Am I getting let go? And they're like, we just need you to come in. And I was like, okay, yeah. So listen, trust me, I feel your pain on this. And listen, I love my time with the Red Sox. The organization was great. There were some people, obviously, I didn't get along with it or there, but the organization was great. It's just bittersweet, right? You go there, you sign there as a free agent, and you think, man, this is going to be great. I'm playing for the Phillies. They're a World Series contender. We got Bryce Harper, we got Schwarber, we got Castellanos. Let's go. And listen, I give you nothing but credit for when you were on last time, and this is right before it happened. You said, I got 2 months, 3 months left, and I'm going to show them what it's really like. So now you have a chance to go to Atlanta, and you can show them what it's really like.
Yeah, I'd love to get hot. That'd be nice. I feel like I haven't gotten hot all year, really. I haven't even really gotten warm. So I'd like to kind of kick it into gear. I'm playing every day now, so it's, hopefully I can use that and sort of start feeling some more game reps and kind of getting my groove back. And but yeah, we'll see. Baseball's a tough game, and just need it to click. Once it clicks, I feel like we can kind of get back into gear. It's just a matter of finding that thought or that whatever it is to kind of click and get back to what I was doing last year.
Hey, Whit, do you sense a different level of urgency with the team at this point? Sometimes they've kind of cruised through the NL East. Not always. I mean, when they won the World Series, they were only in the 500 range in mid-August, and we know how it becomes a tournament in October sometimes. But I know you haven't been there for a ton of time yet. Have you made friends with certain guys to kind of learn about how their season is going, and can you look at some positives? Like, I know Braves fans are really down because they've been spoiled. They've gotten the World Series in the past decade. They've racked up a ton of division titles. I've been kind of putting my thoughts out there on the fact that there's a lot of wild card teams that end up going to the World Series. So you got to look at talent and what can carry, during a playoff series, and how, there's certainly plenty there for them to be able to do that. You got to get in because it's going to be a tough wild card race, or if you guys can catch Philly. But what do you think? What are you hearing there?
This is just a really confident group. There's no panic in this group. They've been there. They know what it's like. They know what it takes, and they know what a baseball season looks like, and the ebbs and flows of a baseball season. And with the talent that's in that clubhouse, guys that haven't even really kind of hit their stride. We collectively have not hit our stride. So it's there's a quiet confidence in the clubhouse, which is what you need. And I know, as most common baseball fans kind of let the ebbs and flows play with their emotions, and that just, if you, as a player, if you kind of buy into that, it makes for a long season, and you're not going to get the best out of yourself and your team. So there's a quiet confidence that we're gonna get done what we need to get done. You can call it urgency, but I wouldn't say, I don't know if urgency is the right word, but guys are coming in every day and trying to improve on the day before, and we keep doing that. And we got just under 2 months left. We'll be where we need to be.
All right, Whit, before we let you go, I got to ask you this question.
Okay.
Could you beat the Freeze in a race? That's it. Could you beat the Freeze?
With the head start that he gets
yeah,
everybody?
just like they do it.
Yeah, I think I could.
No doubt.
If he gave me the head start, I think I could get him. I don't know. That's a long way, though. I don't know.
See?
Yeah.
See? It's like a triple or inside the Parker. You'd be gassed at the end.
Yeah, I want to say I can, but if it was if I knocked the head start down a little bit and we just ran to right center, I think I got him.
Okay.
But that extra was it 20 yards? That could be the difference.
That's where everybody dies. That's where everybody runs out of gas at last 20 yards. They're like, oh, I got him. And then it's like hamstring goes, back goes, and then they're like, oh, there goes the Freeze right by me.
It's impressive to see live. It is impressive to see live. He's striding out there.
That's why it became such a big deal. Remember the first time he raced the dude who thought he had him, and then he tripped at kind of the finish line and he passed him? That was such a classic clip, and that's how it became such a big deal. But anyway, well, enjoy it, dude. Good to see you out there and back on the mound with or back on the field with a normal finger again. So keep it intact, and we'll catch you again in a few weeks. All right, dude?
All right. See you guys. I'm going to send you all a picture of what it looked like.
Please.
Right.
Yeah. AJ needs it. He's about to have lunch.
I love that stuff. I love that. I love seeing phones and stuff. It's awesome.
Thanks, Whit. We also have a Brave show, as you know. top Braves podcast out there by numbers and quality, Hammer Territory. Check it out. Multiple episodes weekly, often right after the game ends. Be right back. This all just flows so perfectly. So now let's talk about some meals, lunch, dinner, whatever you want to do. It's HelloFresh, new FT sponsor. You can see right now the QR code below or the website to go to. Obviously, the QR code takes you to the website, but it is America's #1 meal kit. Big shout out to HelloFresh. Busy time of year for us, of course, with the season going on and FT shows. So what do? You order HelloFresh. I'm telling you, when you type in that HelloFresh.com/FTKids and you get to your cart at the finish line, you're like, I'm getting all of this food for this price. The intro offer is legit. Okay. I just did it the other day. So check that out and just get a ton of meals for you, for the fam, for the kiddos, the whole deal. So AJ, when you finally land back in Orlando, I know you were kind of avoiding the crappy weather, but when you do finally get yourself back in Orlando in about a week or two, you are going to be impressed with the portions and the quality.
Yes, I am. I've heard about this. Friends of mine have ordered this stuff before. They love it. Best part about it for me is not only how good everyone says it is, you get to cook it though yourself, and I love to do that kind of stuff. People are like, "Oh, you don't want to do any work." No, I love to cook and do things like that because you start with something, and they send you all the ingredients, and then you get to actually make it into what it is. And I'm all for that, Scott. I'm all for the process. I'm a process person, Scott.
Yes, you are. And if you listen to the pod, we did a little read on this where AJ said it even works for picky eaters like Scott. Changing menu of 50 recipes to choose from each week. You can customize how you want to put everything together. I got some food allergies. They handle it for me, no problem. There's new 6-portion plans, perfect for feeding the whole fam. And that's what I get to with the website to hit, HelloFresh.com/FTKids, to unlock the exclusive offer where kids eat free, meaning 1 free kids meal per box for 2 months while subscription is active. It's free kids meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/FTKids. It's HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. The website is foulterritoryshop.com. T-shirts, hoodie season is coming soon, actually. Hats, different variations. There are stickers. There are coffee mugs. There are wristbands. The whole deal, okay? Get after it. Foulterritoryshop.com. Great way to support the show and rock FT. Many MLB players wear the FT shirt during BP. All right, here we go, AJ. Let's start with one of the heavy hitter matchups of the week. We didn't get to Phillies Dodgers yesterday because Isaac Guillen was hogging up all the FT time, but it was worth it. So let's do it today. I mean, the Phillies get one back after falling the other day. So you've got Clayton Kershaw on the mound looking pretty good. I mean, he was, 4 2/3 of shutout baseball? I mean, it's not going to be like the Kershaw you're used to. It's got to have a little smoke and mirrors action to it, but it's still a pretty solid Phillies lineup that he was getting through for a good chunk of the game. Just Christopher Sanchez was better. It was his best start in probably a month and change.
That pitch. That's the pitch right there. Whoop.
Yeah.
You see Schwarber's knees buckle right there? Ah!
How often can you use that pitch, though, the curveball?
I mean, you saw it right there to lefties. That's the pitch that's made Clayton Kershaw so good, the slider, right? Running in on the righties. And listen, you said it best, Scott. And Clayton Kershaw is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's not the same Clayton Kershaw. He's not the same guy that we've watched for the last 10 plus years. He's going to have to be relegated. There you go. Another swing and miss by Bohm on that curveball. It's going to have to be just reduced amounts, right? And whatever he can give the Dodgers is a bonus. But right now, let's be honest, they need everything they can get from any pitcher because that race is, it's tightening up.
I mean, you already start to project forward. Do you think there's any chance that Clayton starts a playoff game for them? Because I don't know. I don't think he's going to come out of the bullpen. I think it gets tricky with a legacy player like this. My idea was you start him in a shorter burst. Obviously, if a guy doesn't have it, he doesn't have it early on in a game. But could he give you 3 or 4 good innings? Could he get through a lineup, 1.5 times, 2 times, something like that? You give it a go.
This is where the Dodgers get in trouble. We've talked about this. You can't do that in the postseason. You can't constantly have guys only go 3 innings, 2 innings, 1 inning, because by the end of the second series, let's say okay, they win the division, which by the way is only 4 games, so with 2 teams, so it's like really getting close. Now you get into the postseason. Let's say they do win the division. They get to the DS, and he starts one time for you, but then you don't know where Buehler stands. You obviously have Flaherty and Glass now, but where's Yamamoto? Right? Who's going to be the other guy? Is it Kershaw? Is it Yamamoto? Is it Buehler? Is it Stone? Is it Bobby Miller if he comes back? Right? So there's so many things that are in question right now for the Dodgers. They're going to have to hit, and they haven't done that in the last few postseasons. Now, you also take that and you say, all right, let's say they make it past that and they get to the LCS. Okay? And then you might have to have another short start if Yamamoto's not built up, or another short start. And God forbid one of their other guys goes short. Then your bullpen just continues to get taxed and taxed and taxed. And as you keep going, there's less and less sharp because they're tired. And I don't know. I mean, the Dodgers are still really good, but there's got to be just a little bit of doubt in Dodger fans. And Alano and Clint will never admit it, but there's got to be a little thinking like, hey, these teams are coming and they're playing better than us right now.
Do you think that a team can catch them in the regular season? I mean, you presume that the Dodgers are about to get stronger with eventual returns of Mookie and Max. Actually, they just announced yesterday how Mookie's going to be in the 2 spot at least to start when he comes back, and he'll still play shortstop at least for now. We'll see if that changes when Muncy comes back. Edman's going to come around. So it's a 4-game lead right now for LA. Obviously, Yamamoto is going to come back or you would hope at some point. He's progressing.
It's closer than we thought it would be, didn't we? We all thought like, oh, they're going to run away with it. I mean, yeah. I mean, do I think it's going to happen? No. But is it closer than I thought? And could a Padres or a Diamondbacks get hot? Let's say I don't know what their schedules are like, but if they play each other, let's say, I think they might be done with the Padres, but let's say the Diamondbacks play them coming up and they sweep them in a 3-game series, it gets down to like a game or 2. Then what? The buttholes go, they pucker right up.
Yeah, no, they're not out of it in that way. So they can't do this whole prep for October situation. You still got to get there. So I'm with you. I think it'll actually be good for them.
They just need everybody back. They actually need everybody back.
They need everyone back, but this is good for them. Don't you think this is good for them? They're going to play some, more pressurized games heading into October. Some of these guys haven't played for a while. Put them in some scenarios where it's like, hey, we actually really need tonight to kind of hold off, the Diamondbacks or the Padres.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, the more games you play that mean something, the more it helps you in October. And that's why the wild card teams have usually had more success, because they're playing game all the way to the end of the year where they have to win. Whereas a lot of the teams that win the division win by such a lead. And I've had it both ways, where you win a division late and you carry it over, or you win a division early and people say you lose momentum. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I think the more games you play of meaning, the more you just get used to playing in those pressure-filled games.
Yeah, this was big too. Phillies now clinched the season series with that win. Just in case we get to that point where the records are even and they face each other in a CS, you get home field advantage. That doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't. And, well, this is kind of off the subject, but I did like what the MLB did, where if the LCSs don't go more than 5 games each, they can move the World Series up. It's about damn time.
Agreed. It was confusing in the past. I'm sure there was some TV schedule maneuvering that was looked at in the past, but it's crappy, even for fans and for momentum, right? Forget just players, momentum of the sport. You want it to just continue. I mean, that's how baseball works. There's another chapter the next day. That wasn't the case here. So yeah, I like that move. All right, let's get to more games here. We got Atlanta and Milwaukee next for a moment, because I know we just talked to Whit, but Atlanta's offense has been very quiet lately. They got smacked by the Brewers yesterday, 10-0. Willy Adames, 2 homers. It's now 24 innings in a row without any offense from the Atlanta Braves in terms of run scoring. They've been now scored 20-0 during that time period. Concern level for Atlanta, because obviously I was sugarcoating it a little bit with Whit. He just got there, but is there a chance the Braves don't make it to the playoffs?
No, they ain't winning the division. That's for sure.
No.
They're behind them. I mean, and listen, right now they're the third wild card. They're the third wild card. They were up like 8 games in the wild card not that long ago. They're the third wild card, and the Mets are 2 games in the loss column behind them. So, yeah, is there a chance? There absolutely is a chance because San Diego and Arizona, if you put these teams on paper right now, San Diego and Arizona are probably better than where the Braves are because of injuries, right? Am I wrong with that? And then the Mets have been charging the Cardinals, Pittsburgh. I don't know about Pittsburgh, but yeah, I think there is a chance. It's slim, but there is a chance because of all the injuries they've had.
All right. There you go. We'll see. Braves are struggling right now. We'll be right back on FT as we get ready for our next guest, Jason Mackey, to continue the wild card conversation. We'll see what the Pirates are up to. But first, here a look at Dodgers territory. Mondays and Thursdays. So the next one pops up again on Thursday, 3 o'clock Eastern time. It's Alana and Clint bringing all the Dodgers conversations your way. We'll be right back on FT.
And that's come up like quite a bit. Like, what is the identity of this team? That's both come up from the fans, from the media, but also from the team itself, right? Like, they went out this winter and said that they wanted to add some veteran edge. Lance Lynn, who you guys know well, is a frequent guest on your show and brings his edge right to any question you ask. But they also wanted to add like guys like Matt Carpenter. And then during the spring, they added Brandon Crawford, and they talked about like, okay, part of the identity of this team is going to be this veteran group that knows how to get through a long season, that knows the ups and downs of it, that has had success in October. And then also, mix that with some young upstart players, one of whom has really stood out in Mason Wynn, and another who carried the offense there for a while in Alec Burleson. So that was the identity that they wanted, was both the kind of competitive edge and grit and force out of the veteran starters like Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, and of course Sonny Gray, and then that mix. Has it all come together, I think, is the next part of your question. And it really hasn't meshed. I mean, look, they've had their identity is resilient for sure. I mean, they got off to such a difficult start and were playing some unfamiliar baseball. The offense really struggled. The weight was really on the bullpen. And so the bullpen emerged as kind of the defining characteristic. So it hasn't been the identity they expected as far as leading them to wins, but it's been the identity, that veteran kind of balance that they needed to get through more rocky times than they wanted. Yeah, and he expanded the deal too after knowing that the Dodgers wanted Tommy Edman, and they knew that they could get that deal done where the White Sox would be the go-between because, the Cardinals didn't want to deal directly with the Dodgers that weren't interested in what they had to offer, but they were very much interested in adding Fetty. And the White Sox wanted to get the prospects from the Dodgers. And so when all that was in place with the White Sox as the go-between, and quick aside, Fetty actually got the last win that the White Sox had. So that tells you, I know you guys were talking about how long ago it was, but that kind of puts in perspective how long it's been since the White Sox won, that he might get a win for the Cardinals before they get their next win since he won for them. But, they then had that deal in place, and Mosaic wanted to expand it to fan. And what does it take to get that done? And the Cardinals did not still at that point add anything in the deal that goes to the White Sox. And they come out of it with cash, potential of a player to be named later, and, the pitcher that they wanted and the right-handed outfielder that they wanted.
Hey, it's FT back with Jason Mackey. You can follow him at JMackeyPG, writes for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. So let's get into it. Jason, great to see you again. And look at this. We're talking about the Pirates and playoff chances in in August, but to get to October. No, AJ?
I mean, they're on the fringe. I would have liked to have seen them add maybe a little bit more at the trade deadline a couple, not that long ago, about a week or so ago. But yeah, I guess you could say they're on the fringe of being there.
AJ, we'll take it. We'll take it, man.
That's true. You know what? As a Pirates fan, you guys will take the fringe.
It's been a low bar around here. The last time anybody nationally was probably talking about the Pirates was in this late in the year was 2019 when they absolutely imploded and, a whole bunch of stuff went wrong around here. So talking about maybe a wild card chance, we'll take it. It's been up and down around here, but Skeens, Keller, Jones coming back, some attractive things. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the deadline stuff. I thought they did pretty well for themselves, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Jason, do you think the expectations are too low when you say they did well for themselves? What were the goals and did they accomplish them? Forget a World Series title, just to be able to put them in playoff contention. Like, you could make a case that they, anyone can add, some high leverage bullpen guys. They didn't really do that, right, at that level. And then offense is clearly needed for Pittsburgh. Did they really accomplish their goal by getting, Brian De La Cruz and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa?
Yes and no. Yes, I think they accomplished a goal in that they got better. They did improve. That statement's not wrong. And I like the fact that they didn't give up a ton of their best guys. They've really become a farm system that has some pretty good pitching at the upper levels. Bubba Chandler, Thomas Harrington, Braxton Ashcraft. And they didn't give up any of those guys to get De La Cruz or Kiner-Falefa. I would argue, too, that they addressed a need with Kiner-Falefa, both with a guy that can bounce around a little bit, and I don't know what they have at shortstop beyond this season. Honestly, like O'Neal Cruz has been so rough defensively there. I mean, he's going to be in your lineup. You have to figure out what to do with him, but like, can you live with 30 to 35 errors? I don't know. And Kiner-Falefa gives them an option, a bona fide major league player, and the Pirates don't really have that, somebody that can play shortstop and add with the bat. So I understand maybe they didn't do enough, but at least they did something. And I don't think the goal around here is obviously going to be building internally and growing prospects and all that. And I would say that path is still available to them. And they did some. I mean, they did give themselves a chance by addressing a need. They just need to play better than they have recently.
Are they just waiting on Skeens and Jones to pitch? And I guess in Keller too. But my thing is, we had this argument the other day. Are they going to slow Skeens down? Are they going to limit his innings? Because he's almost at his obviously from last year, but he's going to be at his all-time high in innings. So are they going to start limiting his innings, trying to skip him? Because every time he pitches, especially in Pittsburgh, I mean, it's an event, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't you want to keep that going, keep the momentum going? I want him to pitch every chance he gets because we don't know. They're like, oh, he's going to get hurt if he pitches too much. How the heck do we know that?
I know. I hate some of these like theories with arm injuries, and it feels like you're just kind of throwing stuff against the wall and hope it sticks. I mean, they have said publicly, and I do believe this, guys, that as long as they're in contention, he's going to pitch. Now, they've spaced out his starts a little bit, which I'm fine with. I don't, as long as you can manage a 6-man rotation, I don't think it's the dumbest idea in the world for a staff like the Pirates have right now. I think it would be a loss for the Pirates if they shut him down, because if they shut him down, I think it would be tied to them falling out of contention. If they're 7, 8, 9 games out of the wild card with like 2 weeks to go, they probably shut him down. If they hit a really bad skid here, I think they'd probably start thinking about his arm, long-term health, that sort of stuff. But, I mean, again, they've said this, I believe it, that the best outcome for the Pirates is for them to at least stay on the fringe, maybe make a run, play meaningful baseball as long as they can, and have Paul Skeens continue to pitch. And I agree with you, AJ. It's so much fun when he pitches, man. The stadium gets into it. It's just such a good time on the North Shore.
What has to happen for this team to make it into the playoffs, aside from getting the usual from Skeens, Jones as he swings back, and Keller?
Bat. They need to hit. It's just, last night, I don't know if you guys saw, it was a total disaster rain-wise. There was like a puddle in the outfield, but they come back from that and they never got any offense whatsoever. and now they're sitting here facing Michael King and potentially Dylan Cease on Thursday, and then you've got a series against the Dodgers. And anyway, I mean, they need to hit. They need to figure out how to get something out of Ke'Bryan Hayes. O'Neal Cruz has been alternatingly fantastic and disastrous. I don't know if that's too strong of a word, but they're just not scoring enough runs consistently. Brian De La Cruz has been fairly quiet since the Pirates traded for him. I think he's 3 for 21. Kiner Falefa has had some good moments, but I mean, this lineup just needs to find a groove, stay on that groove, and score enough runs. They've most nights gotten the pitching, which is a scary thing to say around here because you probably saw the frustration or the flip. The big story here was how Derek Shelton managed the late innings on Sunday, and they basically gave away a game. But if they can score more runs, I think that's going to help them.
Okay, I got to get into this because I'm pissed at the Pirates right now. Because I had Dylan Cease as my lock yesterday to get so many Ks, and what happened? And then, listen, I don't root against teams really, but I mean, after what they did to my bet last night, the Pirates got what they deserved by getting them smashed after starting the game, making Dylan Cease only go an inning, and then they're like, oh, we have a 3-hour rain. Why not just bang the game? I didn't understand why they didn't just bang the game. I mean, there was water everywhere in the outfield. You got McCutchen tweeting out like, I don't know what we're doing either, right? And the Pirates are like, what are we doing? And you know what? You got what you deserve for making everyone sit around, and then you got waxed. What was it, 8-0? And Honing went out there and shoved, right? And listen, and you talk about Ke'Bryan Hayes. Well, I'll let you talk about the field first, but I saw where he has the lowest, was it OPS or OPS plus of any qualified player in the major leagues. What happened to him?
I know. I'll start with the field stuff before getting back into Hayes. But AJ, you would know this better than me. I can't believe that they played that game last night. I was shocked.
Me neither. I was pissed.
It stinks that you had the drainage issue, but I mean, I live here. I was here. It was bad. A lot came down in a short amount of time. I'm not sure there's really anything they could have done. I mean, maybe, redo the drainage. That's a conversation for another day. When they started the game,
they spent that money. Hey, they spent that money on De La Cruz and IKF, so they can't afford drainage now.
That's right. We can have Kiner Falefa or we can have drainage. You can't have both. Can you? we were joking, like, can you put the bags of diamond dry? Do you have any idea how much those things cost? Do not, unless that's absolutely necessary. But no, I mean, I can't believe they played. I'm glad everybody stayed healthy. And then the first ball hit out there goes right to Jackson Merrill. I'm like holding my breath, saying, I didn't want to have an accident. That could not have been comfortable for those outfielders to go out on that warning track and play. I mean, it was just I thought they were going to bang it and play 2 today, but leave that for another day. They need to figure out what's going on with Ke'Bryan Hayes. I wish I had a magic theory that would help things. I know what my eyes have seen. I mean, he is beating so many balls into the ground, grounding into double plays, pulling things. That's not the Ke'Bryan Hayes we've seen when he's productive. The Ke'Bryan Hayes we've seen when he's productive, he's a fairly solid launch angle, driving the ball the other way, on time for fastballs, that sort of stuff. I mean, he's been a mess. He's dealt with some back issues. I don't think it's just the back issues. I think, it's frustration being wrapped around the axle, trying to get a spark to get out of this. The Pirates need offensive production. I don't know how much longer you can ride this out. They've showed a lot of patience with guys, and to their credit, it's worked out. But there were different times in the season, too. They could, if you have Kiner Falefa, you need somewhere to play him. Nick Gonzalez is going to come back and play second base. O'Neal Cruz at shortstop. That's probably your best offensive lineup, and it doesn't include Ke'Bryan right now.
Follow up on him. Is he still working with John Nunnally? I remember that drama from last year. He was kind of secretly working with the AA hitting coach, and they didn't like it. And I'm like, it helped for a little bit, right? Didn't he turn it on for about a month and a half at some point when he was working with him? So I'm hoping that he still secretly is getting some help if that was helping him last year.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And I think that whole storyline got a little wacky. I don't think the Pirates were as upset that he was working with Nunnally as they were with kind of how it came out. I think there was some communication that they thought lacked on both ends with Ke'Bryan and Nunnally, that it seemed like they were kind of doing it secretively, and the Pirates didn't think they should be doing it secretively. It wouldn't shock me. I'll put it this way, Scott. I mean,
from what I understand, we've seen it more on the pitching side with Mitch Keller and Tread and guys going places in the offseason. They've had basically their entire pitching staff, has been told or encouraged to go seek outside help. So it wouldn't shock me in the least, but I think the only change would maybe be the Pirates wanted them to be a little bit more upfront with communication on it.
Okay, I have to ask this before because I'm gonna get back to Hayes in 1 second, but you brought up Tread and you brought up Tread, Driveline, all these places you hear about where guys go, and you might not have an answer to this. So, do teams like that guys go into the offseason and they start ramping up and throwing their 8 pitches like all offseason? There's no break. Like what happened to going home, shutting it down? Now guys go right to Driveline, they go right to Tread, and they're like, all right, I'm going to work on my pitch shape, and I'm going to throw harder. And what happened to like going home, shutting it down, and then starting up again?
Yeah, I'm with you. And then we're sitting here worrying about arm injuries from overuse and be like, man, I wonder what it is. I can't imagine what the problem is. You're working 11 months out of the year doing an unnatural thing with your arm. Like, yeah, no crap, it's going to snap at some point. But yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to like solve arm injuries in a quick soundbite, but the Pirates are largely encouraging of that. Again, Oscar Marine, their pitching coach, he's very much a believer in those sort of places, analytics, pitch shapes. The Pirates have gone to great lengths to build those facilities at Pirate City in Bradenton, Florida, like their own, stuff that they can gather data from. I mean, I think they're like a lot of major league teams now that if you stand out by the bullpen, you're looking at, LED TVs and Edgertronic cameras and Rapsodos and thousands of dollars of electronics. And the Pirates have no problem with that. I don't know if they should have a problem with that. It seems like just, around the industry, that's the way things are going. But AJ, I do agree with you on the is that healthy thing. Like I don't totally love it. I think it's overuse. I think, we all need some downtime here and there. And I'd like to see maybe that culturally in baseball take a little bit more of a hold.
Jason, all right, now I'm going to ask you my Brian Hayes question about the Pirates. Right. They signed him to a long-term deal, right? They obviously signed Brian Reynolds, and he's worked out. But Brian Hayes hasn't exactly worked out since he signed that deal, and there's still time for him to figure it out. But will this deter the Pirates from doing this in the future? Will this be the guy that they're like, man, we did this, and then it didn't work out? Or is this just a blip on the radar? Because they did it with Keller, they did it with Reynolds, and those guys have worked out, but the Hayes one hasn't worked out yet. Now, we are hoping he turns it around.
I don't think this will be enough to scare them off of doing stuff. And I know the perception of the Pirates and spending money. I've lived in it for a long, long time. I try to be fair to reality. Them, they need criticized for certain things, and they've done certain things right. Signing Brian Reynolds was a smart move. Signing Mitch Keller this offseason was a smart move. They have other moves that they need to make that I think make sense for them. This offseason, do you have a conversation with O'Neal Cruz? Probably. Do you try to, buy out some of Paul Skeens and keep him around? Probably. I mean, you at least try. But as far as Key Bryan, I don't think so. I don't think they're giving up hope that this can't be fixed. I mean, just a year ago, Key Bryan Hayes was their best hitter over the final 2 months. I don't think he suddenly became a bad baseball player, but it is alarming that it's gone on this long. It is a big hole when you're talking about how you're spending money. Are you efficiently spending money? Are you getting anything out of a power position that you otherwise, if you need offense, you should be able to lean on your third baseman to drive in runs. He's hitting, 5, 6, in places that he should be collecting more RBIs than he is. So, I mean, it's a fair thing to worry about right now. It's a fair criticism of Levy. I just don't think the Pirates are looking at this saying like, no, we can't do this again. Like they've done some things recently that have made sense. And I hope next off season, I hope and believe that they're going to continue to do that.
Are there indications that they're going to push chips in a little bit more with what they have? I mean, it's tougher to do at the trade deadline. Okay. But in the offseason, like give me a comprehensive look at where this team is at in terms of spending when they are good, which is now. Yep. I mean, you tank for a long time. Okay. I think fans can tolerate that in a city like Pittsburgh where they've dealt with a lot with the ownership situation. So two-part question here. Number one, at the trade deadline, because I actually don't know the answer to this. Did they take on significant money with IKF. I know De La Cruz is still under control for a while. I'm assuming he's not making much, but I know they unloaded Martin Perez. So I'll go there first, and I'll ask you the second part. Did they take on a lot of money at the trade deadline, or did those two cancel each other out?
They basically canceled each other out.
Okay.
And IKF, he had a lot of the freight paid. I don't know the exact number, but the Pirates this year aren't paying a ton on IKF.
Okay, so that actually plays to when Jim Duquette came on our show during the trade deadline. This was before the Pirates had made any moves, and he said that publicly, nutting, saying that they're going to do stuff and take on money, but privately, Duquette had told us through a source that there was no chance they could add significant money. So that plays. So now we get to kind of off-season mode as well. They have one scary hitter, right? Cruz has potential to keep excelling, but Brian Reynolds is a pest. If you're facing him in the playoffs, he's tough. That's one guy. The offense is far away from being a World Series winning team, in my mind. Are there plans to fix this? That costs money. You can't, sure, you can get, not lucky, but you can tank for years and end up like the Orioles, but we haven't seen many cases like that. What are they selling to fans in terms of fixing the offense and having a World Series contender?
Yep. Completely fair way of looking at it. I don't know if they're worried about selling anything to fans. I think maybe they should be a little bit more worried about selling something to fans than they are. A lot of what they are leaning on or will need to have happen here is internal improvement. And I know that's an unsexy answer, and we deal with that a lot in Pittsburgh. But, they invested 1-1 in Henry Davis. They need him to work out, plain and simple. Jack Sawinski hit either 26 or 28 home runs for them last year. He's in AAA right now. They need to figure out Jack Sawinski. As far as payroll, though, I expect them to be at where they were at this year, if not above. They should be above based on how many people have filled the ballpark, where they're at in their build. They should increase it. I can't say that I've had substantive conversations with people guaranteeing me that they will increase their payroll. So I'm trying to just be forthright with that. But, they're going to have Perez came off, doing some quick math in my head, but 30-ish million come off their books in free agent guys. You're going to obviously have some raises through arbitration, but when it all comes out in the wash, I fully expect them to be 90-ish. We'll say that conservatively. They should be. They're going to have a hole at first base, I'd imagine, with Rowdy Tellez. If they can't get Rowdy back, I'm not sure where those things stand at this point. Michael A. Taylor is also on an expiring deal. Yasmani Grandal, same deal. He's not part of their future plans. Chapman as well. So they're going to have some needs to address, and I do think they'll be relatively active in the offseason. But it's the Pirates. I don't think that's ever going to change. Like their goal in this thing, and I'll just one more point, and then I'll shut up and stop blabbing. But they don't ever want their payroll to go too high, and they don't ever want their payroll to go too low. They want kind of a narrow band, probably in that 80 to 100 million range. So they're going to have some activity to get back to that. It's not Yankees activity. It's not Red Sox or Mets or Dodgers activity, certainly. But they should be more competitive, and those ads, I think, should be a little bit bigger and better this offseason. Okay,
Jason, before you go, and Scott's going to love this question. There you go. Well, two things. First of all, what's the W?
Westminster baseball. Yeah, that's it's where I went to school. It's where I played. It's a Division III school about 60 miles north of Pittsburgh. So pride in D3 baseball, man.
Okay, because there's also a sign over your shoulder. I didn't know, so it had to be something.
Oh, yeah. Same school.
Okay.
Same school.
Okay,
thank you.
Awesome. And then who's going to be QB1 for the Steelers? Okay. Wilson or Fields? And will they get Brandon Ayuk?
Man, all right. So I jump out there too. I was out at Steelers yesterday. Wilson's going to be QB1 to start the season. I'd be
for sure. Even though Fields is kind of killing it in practice.
I know, right? It's like everybody outside of Pittsburgh thinks Fields has a chance. They brought Russ in to start the season. I think if he doesn't work out, then maybe they pivot to Fields. But Ayuk sounds like it's getting done, man. I'm not saying that based on personal information. I'm not texting sources on it. I'm not on my feet enough over there. But the perception here seems to be that there's a chance of him pretty good chance of him coming to Pittsburgh, I have to say.
Okay. Love it.
Okay, I'm awake.
Look at
I'm
Scott.
back.
Scott's like, wait, what? What are we talking about here? Listen, there's other sports out there besides baseball, Scott, to talk about. And don't ever forget this. I don't care what you say. The Pirates, whatever they do, the Steelers are going to have a hard time of being supplanted as number one in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but you know what's been interesting this summer? The Pirates have been like neck and neck with Steelers stuff. And I mean, we at our paper we chart everything, how stories do, how long people read them, how many times they click on them, etc. And I mean, they are, it's 1A and 1B right now. And that might change if the Pirates start losing, the Steelers starting up, they get Ayuk. That's obviously going to flip. But it is cool to see how popular the Pirates. And then they've always been that way. I was on the beat here, like people would always tell me, "Why don't you cover a real team? Why are you covering the Pirates?" Like I look at our internal metrics. I know how many people engage with our stories. I know how many people engage with our Steelers stories. It's very good. This is a very cool baseball town. I just wish that the Pirates could win more consistently because you only get to see it in select moments.
Yeah, it's a great sports town.
Agreed.
I mean, they're just not feeding the beast the way they should. That's why I get frustrated. But they nailed it with Skeens. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. Jason, great to talk. Appreciate the time. Everyone go give Jason a follow. We'll post some of these clips afterwards. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for having me. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Be right back on FT Hot Corner time after this. We're taking questions during the break on YouTube. All right. Jackson had a question for you, AJ. What's the timeline for when the White Sox will be good again?
Yeah.
If you had to put a year on it, when are the White Sox? I'm not even going to say in the playoffs. When are they?
What is it, 24? It's going to be at least 26 to 27 before I firm. I mean, now, listen, this can all get sped up if they spend money, right?
Yeah.
But they don't have – everyone looks at the Royals as the example from last year, but the White Sox don't have Bobby Witt Jr. coming down the pipeline. They don't have the pitching that the Royals had coming up quite yet. So it's going to have to be 25, 26, 27.
Yeah, I mean 25.
No, I'm saying 25 to 26. It's not going to be next year, obviously 25.
Right, no.
But I'm like 25, 26, 27. So probably 3 years before you can start looking. Because here's the problem. Like, they have some guys in the minor leagues they traded for, but like Schultz, right? He's probably a year away, but they'll probably rush him. I mean, the Colson Montgomery, who they're all counting on, he's struggling in AAA and he's got a 700 OPS, just over 700 OPS. He's been there pretty much the whole year. And Charlotte is a bandbox, okay? So you should be hitting home runs like – and so that is kind of the big thing that I worry about. Now they have some other guys at AA. They pushed. They brought up, what was his name, Kai Bush to pitch the other night. He did okay. Too many walks for me, a little bit wild. Too many walks in the minor leagues. But when will those guys be here? And then it's the ultimate question, though, Scott. When will Jerry spend the money to make him take the next step? And will he do it?
Exactly. You can turn things around really quickly in the AL Central. The White Sox love doing what the Royals do, right? There's a lot of dudes that used to work with the Royals that now work with the White Sox. Look what the Royals just did. Rebuild wasn't really working. They spent. You can make a case they spent because they were getting a new ballpark, but whatever, it worked. I mean, they signed some guys that completely turned around the franchise from a 100-plus loss team last year. So it can happen. Just keep that in mind.
But they don't have Bobby Witt Jr.
Right. You don't have the franchise player that can win games by himself and have Jordan-like performances, as JJ Piccolo called it the other day when we talked to the Royals GM. It's a good call. All right, good question, but you got to wait for a little bit. We'll be on every day, though.
But I'll be there Saturday with bells on. Let's go.
Hot Corner next. Yeah, watch AJ on Fox on Saturday. It's going to be entertaining. Hey, we're back, and so is the FT Leadoff newsletter tomorrow. It's Mondays and Thursdays. So if you're kind of snoozing, you're on summer vacation, or you just want everything wrapped up in a few minutes in an email, this is the spot. So scan the QR code. I will also drop that website link in the chat. And guess what? It's really expensive. It's free to sign up for it, and we don't spam your inbox. It's 2 emails per week. Let's sizzle. So Trevor Rogers gets traded from the Marlins to the Orioles, and stop me if you've heard this one before, and that's why I bring it up. He said he's already experienced more feedback and analytical information with his pitch mix and his mechanics from the Orioles than ever before in his career. Our team's way ahead of other teams still, to the point that a pitcher can go elsewhere and feel like he has discovered a new life.
Yes. Yes, we've heard about this. We've heard about this forever. Remember when Verlander went to the Astros and was like, whoa, wait a minute, what's happening here? This is completely different than what I was doing in Detroit, right? I mean, teams, remember, how many guys have said, and I'm not bagging on the White Sox, but this is other people saying it. Remember, they're like, the White Sox don't have the analytics and the other stuff that other teams have, right? They just put in a pitching lab and a hitting lab. They didn't have those things before, right? So, I mean, yes, there are differences. Some teams have jumped out in front of this and some teams have fallen behind. So, yeah, and the Orioles have something that can help Rodgers get better. Hey, man, good for him. Good on the Orioles.
He's coming from the Marlins, and, I mean, Marlins are supposed to be the Rays now. I guess it takes time to implement whatever they're trying to do. That's going to copy Tampa Bay.
But I don't know. Here's the thing I'll say about the Rays, and when people say that about the Rays, I don't know. They just figure out whatever their analytics, and I don't know they have a huge analytics department. I don't honestly know. But I just think the people know what they're looking for there more than other organizations. And they find that one thing. Whatever that one thing is, you do great, right? Like Scott, like you have big arms, right? So they're like, how can we use Scott's big muscular arms in the little shirts and make him a better Tampa Bay Ray? Like that's what they do. Whatever they figure out, they make people feel great about it, and they utilize their strengths better than other organizations.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think also just a change of scenery helps. I've been told sometimes by teams or agents that a player moves to a different place, they give him information and the other team had it, but he didn't want it, because it was.
Or they say it a different way.
Or yes, they communicate it differently.
They use different vocabulary, different words, communicate it a different way. And they might be telling you the same thing. They might be like, hey, Scott, that the foul territory thing behind you is black. And you're like, well, maybe it's not. And then someone else is like, hey, Scott, that thing is also red. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's it, jackpot, right? So it's just a different way of communicating the same thing. And you can tell someone the same thing over and over again with a certain way, and they're like, I don't understand. And then a different guy walks in the room, and you're like, hey, we're going from A to B in a straight line. And the other person can say it a different way with a little bit of a curve, and they're like, got it, let's go.
All right, next up, I want to get to the NL MVP race. I think AL, we've talked about, is Judge versus Whit, and it's fun. But I just haven't checked on this in a while. So where are you at on the National League? Like, again, this is not the super analytics show, but we do a little bit of everything. We talk biz, we talk numbers. If you're looking at Fangraphs WAR, the first guy that pops up is Shohei Ohtani for the National League. Fifth. There's 4 dudes ahead of him in the American League, but he's fifth. He's at 5.8 wins above replacement. Do you know who's right behind him?
You're going to say Ellie, but I don't know that. But it's not Ellie De La Cruz is not the MVP of the National League. I'm sorry.
All right, but he's at a 5.6.
I don't care. He's not the MVP.
Ketel Marte 5.1, tied with Lindor.
That's somebody that we should get on board with.
Those 4 are way ahead of everyone else. Which one, Ketel or Lindor or both?
Ketel.
Okay, and why? Because
he's got a 900 plus OPS. 900 plus OPS, switch hitter, has done it in big moments. His team is in the playoffs. Premium position, speed, defense, power, leading the Diamondbacks. That's the guy we need to talk about. And Lindor, listen, Lindor's having a great year. But for me, Marte, just because the Diamondbacks are a little bit better. And listen, Ellie De La Cruz, Scott, you love him. I get it. Not the MVP of the National League this year. I don't care what the numbers say. It's Shohei right now and Ketel Marte. No one's talking about Ketel Marte, but those two with Lindor are third.
If the Reds made the playoffs, would Ellie be in consideration for you? Yeah, we're showing
he get more for me.
What if they made the playoffs? What if the Reds go on a 10-game win streak and they sneak into the third wild card? What's holding him back is my question.
Well, his strikeouts and some of the other peripheral numbers. I know.
Who cares?
I know what the WAR says. I care because your team's not winning. Now, if they get in the postseason, you know what they're going to have to do? they're going to have to get there because Ellie goes off and he stays consistent for 2 months because he kind of goes like this. Yeah, we showed this 2-game series in Miami, whatever it is, but then you can find 2 games where he goes 0 for 8 with 7 punchies, right, and doesn't get on base. So to me, he's a little bit like this. Now, 2 or 3 years from now, he's probably going to be a perennial MVP every single year in the discussion. But right now, he's a little bit short because the team isn't there. And again, we talked about this yesterday. I'm a team guy. Like, I want the MVP to be on a team that's in the playoffs because the playoffs mean something. It's not just like anybody can play and be like, oh, we're out of it in April. Yeah, but guess what? You didn't play a meaningful game since opening day. It's cool. It's easy just to ride. If you're that kind of player, just ride out your numbers and do this. But if you're in the playoffs, that gets harder. We just talked about the Dodgers, right? It's getting tighter. How will Shohei respond, right? How will he respond? Keep doing what he's doing? Yeah. I don't know. Ketel Marte has brought his team from out of the playoffs to into the playoffs with his hot streak. That means something. It should.
Well, and he plays in the field. So would you vote Ketel over Ohtani right now?
I think it's closer than people think. I think Ketel Marte deserves
but you have to
a lot
pick
more
one
talk
right
than
now.
what he's getting.
With
right
where
now,
we're at in the
Shohei.
season, before
right
the
now,
end of the season.
Right this second, I would take Shohei, and I'm a defensive guy, but it's a lot closer. And I think if it continues to go the way it's going, Ketel ends up with a 9-something OPS playing defense the way he is. I think you got to look at him.
Okay, I would actually go with Ketel right now because I think they're close enough, and Ketel's playing in the field. So I think a DH can win MVP, but they have to be on another planet. And I think Ohtani is definitely the best hitter in the National League by a good amount, but he is not on another planet in my mind. That's how I'm looking at it right now. We'll see how the season finishes off. So I think it's close enough.
You have the right
Ketel.
to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's not crazy. It's not like you're looking here and going, oh, Ohtani has a 9 WAR and the next best is 4.5. Like, they're pretty close. They're in the same range there. If you're a numbers person and you're going off, wins above replacement on multiple categories, like, he is not worlds ahead of everyone else. And yes, I know you get dinged for being a DH, so you don't have to tell me how the freaking
WAR
system
is not
works.
the end all be all. Can we stop making WAR the end all be all, please?
I understand, but some people do, and I'm like, well, he's not leading the world in that category by a large margin. So I think for me, I want a guy that plays in the field. So, all right, we'll step aside. We will cheers to the Chicago White Sox with one of their biggest fans, White Sox Dave. All right, here we are. We're back. We're about to get into more White Sox talk. I will bring on another question or two. Smith asking, opinion on the Orioles intentionally throwing at Vladdy. I missed that. I didn't catch a ton of Orioles Blue
I saw
Jays.
he got hit, but I don't know if it was intentional. I know John Schneider thought it was. He came out like a raging bull, but I didn't think it was – I don't know. I didn't think it was intentional. He got hit. I mean, Kimbrel's struggling so bad, dude, to throw the ball over the plate. He don't know where it's going. Why would Kimbrel throw at Vladdy?
You know, my answer is, who's pitching the 9th inning for the Orioles in ALCS Game 7?
With a 1-run lead. It's not Craig Kimbrel right now. It's probably Cano or Scott.
Scott? Me?
I mean, sorry. Sorry. I was hoping Tanner Scott went there. Sorry.
Yeah, Cano.
Tanner Scott went to the Padres. Sorry.
They
Cano.
wanted Scott, yeah, but they didn't get another high leverage arm.
Exactly. They didn't get him. He went to the Padres. They needed him. That was my point.
I agree. Scarlett, for a day game, is it more difficult with heat and humidity? How do you prepare for day games with such high humidity?
I don't know.
AJ can't answer because he's
I really can't.
gifted and nothing bothers him. It's ridiculous.
Listen, I'm going to tell you, I saw guys Pedialyting, Gatorading, blah, 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 blahing. I'm just like, every time I'd come in, and listen, I played in some of the hottest places on earth. I played in Texas where it was 115 at 7 o'clock. We took the field to play a day game at 125. I played in Atlanta. I played in Kansas City and watched guys have to go to the hospital because they're melting after the games. But and people won't believe me when I tell you this, Scott, I've never had a cramp in my life. So I don't know what it feels like, and I don't do anything special. I just would come in and I'd have half Gatorade and half water, little cup, every half inning. After the catch, have me a cool towel, and that's it. Here we go.
Yeah, the genetics plus you're a Florida guy, there was just too much working in your favor for it to actually bother you. It's crazy, but for most guys, I don't know. We can ask some players when we bring them on how they deal with it, because some guys definitely complain and just wait until we have major league games in Sacramento next year without a roof on the place. I'm telling you, it's going to be a massive storyline. Players are going to be freaking out, and you're going to see a lot of day off here and there for your veterans when they go play in Sacramento. It's like how they give guys
Especially
a break on
that
the turf. Yeah.
Especially on that turf. Oh, man. I played in Sacramento. That place is hot as hell.
Get ready for it. Here we go. It's White Sox Dave celebrating the big one-game win streak. I'm jealous I wasn't with you guys at NASCAR, but you can follow him at Barstool WSD. And AJ, do you want to intro this segment? Do you have your prop ready?
Let's go. Hey, listen, I had a hard time finding champagne. It didn't even pop. Look, it didn't even pop. It's screw off. But Dave,
that was such a White Sox pop.
Dave, since you didn't bring any champagne, the streak is over, pal. Cheers.
I got this. Does this work? It's a full bottle of vodka.
Yeah, it'll count if you drink it all by the end of this segment.
Maybe I'll try. That's what they do to us. They make us drink. They make us drink.
All right, so I got to ask, how was Oakland? Because you were out there.
So,
how was it?
I was out there on Monday. First time at the beautiful Coliseum. The way I described it is I did a tour of a World War II fort that was 100 meters underground right on the French and German border a couple months ago. It's a fully concrete and reinforced steel. That's what it felt like being in the Coliseum. It was incredible, though. It was perfectly dumpy. It had such a weird, gross charm to it, and I loved it. And I love the fan base. I feel for those guys.
The fans out there are awesome. Listen, the fans that were there, they are unbelievable. Now, they don't get a lot of them, but those 2,000 to 3,000 that are there that are out in the outfield doing the whole thing, I mean, it's amazing. It is a great fan base, and they deserve better than what they have gotten. But you had your Sell the Team Jerry shirt on, didn't you? So you had to find some friends of yours with the green Sell shirts.
Yeah, it wasn't like usually when you go to a sporting event, doesn't matter, baseball, football, whatever, you're at war with the other fan base. This was more of a joining of arms. It was like that meme on the internet where the two guys are locking fists because we both hate our organizations right now. The A's obviously aren't existing in their current form in a few weeks from now, and the White Sox are the most embarrassing organization in sports. And so, yeah, we both want our teams to do different and have new ownership. I wish it were as easy as that.
Yeah, it's not. So how do you cope in the meantime? Because, I mean, you're in a club where, unfortunately, I would say about half of Major League fans are. Yeah, exactly. You keep pouring. Half of Major League fans feel your pain to some degree, Dave. Not to the highest degree, but like we just had a whole segment on the Pirates. Trust me, dude, that's not fun either. I mean, they've had, I would say, a pretty similar line of success and failure. I mean, a little bit less because you guys at least pulled off a World Series in the 21st century. So how do you cope, and what are the bright spots now that they got through this losing skid? Did you like the trade deadline? What do you think is going to happen for this team to turn it around?
This is a at least half decade fix, I'd say. And like when we talked a few weeks back at NASCAR, like I didn't have an answer. I still don't. I know it's a multi-year. They're going to lose 100 games next year, and they might be a little better the year after. But I mean, we're not looking at an organization who is hell-bent on victory and winning at all costs. And to me, that's an issue, not just with the White Sox per se, but all of baseball. And there's a small handful of teams that it's World Series or bust every year. It's get the best free agents or bust every year. And to me, that's an issue with baseball as a whole. And on a White Sox microscopic level, I mean, the owner fired the front office last August, about a year ago, looked at the fan base in their face through the media and said, I owe it to you guys to make this get better as fast as possible, I think was the exact quote. And
Not only did they not do that, Chris Getz built what might go down as the worst roster in the history of baseball. And it's embarrassing, and I don't know what the fix is other than Jerry Reinsdorf opening the purse strings and saying, hey, Theo, we want you to come do what you did with the Red Sox and Cubs. Like, that's the only thing I have, and I know that's never going to happen in a million years, but that's like the only thing that I can think of at this moment that could maybe fix the Sox for the rest of, like, until Father Time wins against Jerry Reinsdorf, which it happens with everybody, obviously. So that's like my one thing that I can think of.
Okay, so I have to ask this.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think this whole thing is your fault? Because since you came on with us in NASCAR until last night, they were 1-23. So did you ever think maybe it was your fault and you just had to go to a game to make them win a game?
I think that this whole thing might be my fault. Like I fall asleep at night staring at the ceiling. Like, where did I go wrong in this whole mess? I don't know if you guys saw it. I got into it with John Cusack a few years ago before the White Sox playoff game against the Astros, the Lurie Garcia game. That was basically the height of my fandom since 2005, was that Lurie Garcia game and that confrontation with John Cusack. But I think that confrontation with Cusack kind of led to all of this in a weird way. Like, it makes sense in my head. I know I'm not eloquently saying it, but I think that was like the axis shifting, me calling him a fair weather fan that one fateful evening a couple Octobers ago.
What's sad? Hey, you know what's sad is that's the Lurie Garcia game, right? People refer to that as like, man, this was like the height of White Sox fandom, right? I mean, why don't we call it the Kane guy game? Remember the Kane guy had the Kane?
Yeah, we could call it that. Yeah.
I mean, he got a bobblehead out of it. I mean,
going to bring us like multiple World Series. Didn't happen.
True. All right, so I have to ask you this, Dave, since we are in political season and Scott loves when I get political.
I do too.
Do I have your vote? Do I have your vote for White Sox manager?
You absolutely do. So long as you do hire Brian Anderson in some form, player development director, bench coach. He's a vibes guy. I know that. I love Brian.
How about going out coordinator for the team?
He'd be great at that. Here's a quick story. So I was supposed to hang out with him in Arizona a few years ago. And he's like, yeah, we'll go to all clubs. We'll do all the great things. And he starts ghosting me. I see him at a restaurant, a little family bar in Scottsdale, Arizona. He was picking up a bunch of takeout food, and I'm like, yo, what's going on, man? Why don't you respond to me? He goes, my mom's making me do yard work in the morning. I can't go out. So I don't know if he'd be great at that anymore, AJ.
True. He's changed. He has changed. He's grown up, and he actually has a family now. I mean, he's definitely changed. But you saw on Twitter, him and I got into it when this all came out. And he's like, you know, what? He made some comment. I said, well, there goes your chance of being a coach on my staff. He didn't like that very much.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe don't start him at coach. Maybe just like, I don't know, bat boy and work his way up, you know? He'd be like Strubin.
Hey.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Dave, I want some more drama. So can you take me inside what's been going on between the media and, you know, the broadcast and the whole deal with reports coming out from some of the radio dudes? Like, I don't know the local radio scene there well. And some of this has to do with the story about, like, you can enlighten our national audience on, you know, how they called out Grifol and how he's making guys do sprints. You know, give us the whole storyline there and where we're at.
So there's two main sports talk stations in Chicago. There's AM 670 and ESPN 1000. I have a lot of friends that work for both stations, and one of my good friends, Shane, at 670 The Score, he has some source. I don't know who it is or who it was in the White Sox dugout that he's feeding them info. Obviously, some of that info is negative about John Schriffen, the White Sox new announcer. And they like trade barbs on the broadcast. Like, it's kind of like you won't catch it unless you're looking for it. Like, oh, how about that? Write a stupid report about that. So it comes off to me as really elementary on both ends. I think it's stupid. As far as the White Sox are concerned, I think the booth is the least of their worries. But Schriffen, we're used as White Sox fans having a White Sox fan call our games for us. Schriffen is not a born-bred White Sox fan, and he's trying really hard to come off as that White Sox fan in spite of all the losing they're doing this year. And it's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And the 670's kind of taken exception to it. So they'll make fun of him. He'll make fun of them on the broadcast, and they just trade barbs on social media. I kind of stay out of it because the White Sox as a whole gross me out. I don't like talking about them, but it's just petty arguing on social media. I think it's embarrassing. It would be embarrassing if they weren't losing as much as they are. That's obviously the story, is the 21 games in a row they just lost. If they were even a 500 team or a little worse than that, this would be a much bigger problem, because you shouldn't have one of your flagship stations talking trash about the announcer and then having him, like, just don't do it. It comes off as like JV garbage to me.
Yeah, it seems petty. That's why I asked. I don't really.
It's petty wars.
I don't understand it. Like, you just take the high road and ignore it. And yeah, if you have a report, that's different. Go for it. So, okay, next layer. Why is Pedro Grifol still managing the team in your mind? Because I know also I've seen the reports from some of the dudes on the score that are like, are they trying to like punish him and they don't want someone else to be put in this situation right now? I look at it differently. I'm like, you do have a future. It might not be the brightest future, but you want to call a couple prospects up and you don't want to put them in this scenario. That usually also includes a change in leadership. I've known Charlie Montoyo for years. I don't know how he's currently doing there, but I think he's good. He's a guy who can come in and be a nice interim manager for a couple months. You know, whether he's the guy for the future, I don't know. They can figure that in the offseason. But you would think in this scenario where you've also had some pretty negative reports, you've had players kind of call back out the manager for saying things at weird times, that there would be a change at this point to kind of give your players a little sign of hope and have their backs more than maybe the manager has had. Because it does seem like the manager is more management focused than player focused. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's completely fair. I try not to take what any coach or player says when they have a microphone shoved in front of their face and they don't have a chance to like think about an answer they're going to give when they're on the spot like that. On that note, multiple times over this season, Pedro Grifol has gone and said Jerry Reinsdorf wants nothing but to win. He wants nothing but success for the White Sox. He's super competitive, all this, all that. And even if that is true, White Sox fans don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear you carrying water for the owner that is responsible for both chasing away MJ and, buck stops with him. He's the owner. It's been a bad organization since 2005, basically. So, and then at the same time, I don't want to judge him on that because he's got microphones shoved in his face. However, don't tell us that because we don't want to hear that. Just shut up, give your cookie canned answer, and go play the next game. And have your players' backs. And all these reports saying like this is solely on the players. It's not solely on the players. It's organizational dysfunction from the lowest of low rungs all the way through the top. But take accountability. You're not good at this. Don't tell me you're good at it in the media. Like, I don't want to hear any of that stuff. Give me your cookie cutter canned answers and shut up. Just shut up. That's all. That's it. Shut up. I don't want to hear how competitive Jerry Reinsdorf is or how we're going to get him the next day. Like, shut up. Say, hey, we got our asses kicked today. We stink right now. Don't lie to my face. I don't think that's a very unreasonable ask as a fan.
Okay, you're making me laugh. All right, I got to ask. Are you coming to the games this weekend?
I don't plan on it, no. Actually, I have a charity wiffle ball.
Oh, wiffle ball. I'm sure you're great at it. I was going to say, come Saturday, say hi to me. I'm calling the game on Saturday night, so I was hoping you'd be around. You'd come say hi. We could, share a campfire milkshake that, by the way, was interesting. All right, so are you gonna change your name to Chicago Bears Dave now because you're wearing a Bears hat?
I don't wear White Sox apparel anymore unless it's that sell the team shirt. Because I don't like walking around having to have the conversation I'm having with you right now about, and because it just fires me up and gets me.
Hey, don't
angry.
be a fair weather fan. Don't be a fair weather fan.
No. Here's the thing. Like, so I was asking A's fans this weekend, like, are you following the team to Vegas when they eventually move there? I know they have the Sacramento weird gray area, but when they moved it, and they're like, absolutely not. Like, I will never step foot into that stadium. Like, they're dead to me. Baseball is dead to me. I can't jump ship to another. Like, I am a White Sox fan till the day I die. I'm the captain of the Titanic, no matter how low they get. And this is pretty low, I'd say, of a season. I will sink with them. I will never root for anybody else. I just hate what they've become to the point where I don't like talking about them unless I have to, which it's my job to, so I have to. So that's why I'm wearing the Bears hat. And I think the Bears are going to be fun this year.
Okay, so last question before we let you go.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch? Well, it's two questions. Did you watch Hard Knocks last night? And
I did.
Do the Bears make the playoffs this year with Caleb Williams?
I think they do. And that's an awesome division. Historically, it hasn't been a great division, but every team in it's pretty good this year, and I still think the Bears make a run. That, loaded with weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Caleb Williams, obviously, ton of hype around him. We'll see. I think, like, if it weren't for them, like, I don't know what I'd do. I don't know what I would do as a sports fan. All of Chicago sports are just in the gutter right now. Thank God for the Bears, though.
There you go. It's that time of year where depressed baseball fans can move on. So, Dave, good to have you on.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Anytime. I thought it was a little boring last night. Hard Knocks.
I'd like a more lit celebration, right? Like, play to it. Have fun. Be like, hey, we're on a 1-game win streak. Let's ride this out. It's just life. Mm-hmm. So, at least we celebrated. Yeah, there you go. AJ went out and got that
Cheers, Dave.
Twisty cap.
$7.99, by the way, in Starkville.
All right. So
by the way, Scott, before whatever you start on, Hard Knocks is a football show, just in case you didn't know that. So when he's Hard Knocks is boring, yeah, it's a football, and you're like, the celebration was boring. Yeah, well, Hard Knocks, he was talking about, it's a Bears show.
I know what it is. I thought it was a punk rock band. Okay, so let's go over injuries suck just verbally here. There's been a ton over the past 24 hours. First off, it sucks for Brusdar Graterol. Great degree hammy strain. He's in tears. They take him off. 8 pitches the whole year. He worked his ass off to recover. And, I don't know if they announced it officially, but he's obviously not going to pitch again this year.
Yeah, that stinks. Welcome back, and then it stinks. Injuries always suck.
It's brutal. Albert Alzolay, and speaking of Chicago, Tommy John surgery.
Has he? Has he pitched this year?
Yeah. He pitched earlier this year. Oh. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't pitching well.
He was their closer for a while, but he hasn't pitched in a long time.
Yeah, he was not pitching well, and obviously had a great year last year. He ended up making 18 appearances this year with a what is the ERA at? 4.67. Last year, 2.67 ERA, and he had 22 saves. Yeah, he was good last year, and he didn't have it. Now he's got Tommy John. Bellinger's dealing with a sore hammy after stepping on first base awkwardly, hyperextending his knee. He hasn't been able to stay on the field. He's going to opt in.
He might, yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to free agency. I would mark that one down pretty firmly. Luis Rengifo, wrist surgery. He's done for the year. Angels should have traded him.
That's why he didn't get traded.
Maybe or you think that's why he didn't get traded? Okay.
Maybe that's why he didn't get traded. They knew this was coming.
And then Grayson Rodriguez, lat discomfort. He's going back to Baltimore to get checked out. Damn.
Not good.
Not good.
This is the last thing the Orioles needed, especially after the trade deadline.
Yeah, agreed. You can't fix things once you're at this point. So Trevor Rogers might become a lot more important for the Orioles. At least they picked up 2 arms. It might not have been the arms they wanted, but they did pick up 2 arms in Eflin and Trevor Rogers. We'll see if the advice they're giving him and the tweaks that he's going to make is going to pay off. But also, I just hope that it's not that big a deal for Grayson and, he gets cleared after imaging and all of that. But we'll see what happens. I mean, the 1-2 punches Burns and Rodriguez pretty clearly. All right, FT fam. Lucy Burdge is coming back with us in about 30 seconds to make her appearance. And we'll go over locks and preview some games. BetMGM locks. Lucy Burdge back with us. And Lucy, I did see your tweet yesterday that you are going to be part of the BetQL fam for the long term again, a little re-signing. So that means more Lucy on the show too. Congratulations. Love that news.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here for another year, and that means to be on with you guys for at least another year.
Yes, exactly. And also, AJ, I don't think we've had Lucy on since the All-Star break. I don't think. So we gave you your flowers multiple times on this show, but you had one of the best All-Star bet performances that I've ever seen, which obviously had some Red Sox and Ohtani ties to it. But how successful was that little game for you?
Yeah, that was very exciting and successful. And even if you had me on, I would also hope that you would still mention it every time I come on, because that was maybe the biggest win of my life. Jarren Duran to win MVP at plus 4,000 of the All-Star game. And that was on a whim. Before my show Bet Slips and Bat Flips, I thought, you know what, for the show, I also want to have an MVP pick for the game just for fun. And I thought Jarren Duran, because not only because he plays for the Red Sox and he's also a good player, but also because he will be coming off the bench and he could make an impact later in the game. And I even said, make an impact later in the game, like hitting a game-winning home run, which he ended up doing. And also Shohei Ohtani hit a home run. So, which also really set it up for Jarren Duran to win MVP, because he then hit the game-winning home run. So it all worked out exactly as I planned it in the script that I did get ahead of time from MLB. So it worked out perfect.
Hey, listen, as a off the bandwagon Red Sox fan with your Celtics banner number 18 behind you, I don't know. Maybe you picked Jarren Duran because did you see his suit before the game?
Yes. Well, that was maybe the greatest outfit I've ever seen in my life. And he also said that was the first suit that he tried on. And then every suit that he tried on after with his stylist did not compare to that suit, which, yes, that's understandable because nothing compares to that suit. And he even had the sayings that he has for the FM sayings and things like that for his mental health that he has been very open about. So it's just all around an amazing story for Jarren Duran. And it doesn't hurt that that was the greatest outfit I've ever seen in my life.
Breakout year. Dude's losing with confidence right now. All right, so let's get back on track with bets right now. We're checking out yesterday, which was rainy for AJ and unsuccessful for Kip and myself. So let's get back on track. I have to
ask though, I know. Well, speaking of this, because Lucy's a betting expert. So Cleveland money line got rained out, right? So I lose. Yes. That's washed. But Dylan Cease pitched an inning and he had 2 strikeouts, I believe. And then he got lost. So that doesn't get voided though, right? I lose half the bet, correct?
I believe it depends on the sports book, I believe, but I believe it's a certain number of outs that have to be thrown, depending. It does depend. Some of them probably do void it. But I think
okay, well, BetMGM, I just decided voided mine.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Then perfect. Then you're in business.
I mean, I can send a note to them to get clarification if you'd like, AJ. But let's talk money bags. There we go. And then let's get rolling with bets. So, AJ, you want to kick things off?
Yeah, shoot. I forgot what mine was now because I was distracted by the rain clouds that Claudia put out there. But I know one of them was the Guardians winning the second game of their doubleheader today was one of them. And the other one
over
was
7.5 runs for them.
No. Over 7.5 punch outs for Blake Snell. Oh, well, I guess I did over 7.5. I meant to go money line, but you know what? Over 7.5 in the second game and over 7.5 Blake Snell punch outs. That gets me to plus 348, and I think it's an easy one today.
Lucy, I apologize for my friend. The White Sox won a game for the first time in a century yesterday.
Lucy, look at me.
I was going to say, congratulations. Well, yeah, congratulations on being the manager as well. So that's really good. Next.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I need a bench coach. So can
I apply to be your bench coach?
I mean, I don't know that you want to give up your gig now to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true. I am under contract. So actually, I decline. I can't do it. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
The only thing I know is Lucy has a better chance than I do of being bench coach. That's for sure. AJ would not hire me. I have no chance.
No chance.
So I will go Cincinnati money line, trying to keep it simple. It's a little steep for me, but I need to get back on the board with a win, minus 135 to win a hundo. Got Ellie De La Cruz popping off, and even if they don't want to deal with him, it's a problem because you can't walk him, because if you walk him, it's an automatic triple. So either way, I think the Reds with Andrew Abbott, Marlins haven't hit left-handed pitching well. I think the Reds are just a much better team, better bullpen. Marlins got rid of their entire bullpen. So I got the Reds winning tonight. What about you, Lucy? What's your pick?
I like that very much. I am going with Christopher Allen Sale, to go over 6.5 strikeouts. He has hit this in 3 of his last 5 starts. He had 9 in all 3 of those. And he has also hit this in 7 of his last 9. And the Brewers are in the top half of the league in highest team total strikeouts. But either way, it's Chris Sale, so it doesn't always matter. Christopher Allen Sale, my NL Cy Young pick for this year, to go over 6.5 strikeouts.
Wow, that's good. And it's very fitting that you went with a former Red Sox player, because we have a former Red Sox player who chimed in with a pick today. Jonathan Papelbon, take it away,
Yes.
Parlay Pap.
What's up, my people of FTS? Your boy Parlay Pap coming to you today. I got a 3-game parlay. Pretty simple. We're going against the White Sox. We're going against the Marlins. So that means we're taking the Athletics and the Reds in the money line. And I'm going to throw in a little 3rd game piece for you right here over Toronto Blue Jays game today, playing against the Orioles. 2 guys with almost a 6 ERA, looking for about 10 or 12 points there. There's your 3 game for a hundo. We at plus 400. Holla at your boy.
Is he in
Very nice.
school? Is he a substitute teacher now?
Can you imagine if Pap was a substitute teacher?
The things he would teach.
Pap does not need to be around children at any time. I know he has children, but he needs to not even be around his own children.
Pap's a great dad, but
Oh, he's amazing.
Pap as
My
a
goodness.
substitute teacher. Woo!
That would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be phenomenal.
Everyone, good luck
yeah,
on your bets tonight. Yes, including Pap, our favorite teach. Lucy, stay hot on your bets. Good luck. We will talk to you in a few weeks, okay?
Thank you very much. I will talk to you guys in a few weeks. I smell a sweep coming, so look out for us.
Okay.
Sweep. Love it.
I know Eric Kratz is watching somewhere, and he's combining all the bets for plus whatever it is. All right, the BetMGM Swing for the Fences game is on. If you're a BetMGM account holder, you play and try to get a hit, of course. And if you do, there's reward types like odds boost tokens and SGP boost tokens. All rewards expire in 24 hours. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We're going to slap when we come back. Scott Harris, who runs the front office there, said there really wasn't anything close. He's just doing his job like any GM would do. But where were you coming from now that it has passed and you're still with the ball club, of course?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff is, I don't know how true much of it was. You know, me being the, main topic with all that stuff, I don't really know how much merit that holds. I guess, we'll find out over, when all that stuff comes out. I feel like a year later it all comes out. So we'll find out then. But yeah, I mean, I have no control on it. So, it is what it is. And that's kind of what I think about. I think the trade deadline stuff is, you can make it stressful as a player if you're really worried about where you're going or how things are going to end up. So, I try to just focus on taking the mound and being me out there.
Did they call you in and say anything did they even talk to you about it? Were they like, hey, these rumors aren't true? Or because like a lot of teams will call in their star player, their star pitcher and say, hey, listen, you're hearing things, but this is not true. Because now after the deadline, we're hearing like nothing was ever closed. So did they at least give you the courtesy to call you in and say, hey, man, hey, Tarek, this is not true?
Yeah, I mean, AJ came and talked to me and said, hey, if I hear anything, I'll let you know. But as far as what's going on right now, this is all basically rumors is what it was. There wasn't really a ton of facts to any of it. But, I mean, honestly, it's kind of a compliment as a player. If you're linked in all these trade, rumors, it means that teams want you. So there is some sort of positive you can kind of take out of that. Yeah, I mean, obviously losing Jack, you don't want to be on the team that's trading away players. You want to be on the team that's trading for players. And Jack being the best, starter available at the deadline, it obviously sucks losing that caliber player, especially, when you're in the rotation with him. And, if I go game 1, he goes game 2, I like our odds of winning those, those games. And it doesn't matter who we're playing. So losing him is tough. Obviously the competitor that he is, I loved getting to know him. He was a great dude, great teammate. Took care of everybody on the team, team dinners, all that stuff, took care of us. I got a ton of respect for him and I'm excited to see what he does, in LA. And as if he's not crazy enough on start days, I don't think he needs any more fuel to add to his fire. So, I think he'll channel all that stuff in the right way and use it to his advantage.
There we go. Let's slap. Mason Miller's back for the Oakland A's. Back off the shelf. So that was quick. Team could have traded for him, but you would have had to give up the world.
Don't punch the training table, Mason.
Don't punch anything but punch outs. Dad joke, but you had a dad tweet.
I know. I was in Dick's last week, and I looked down and I saw my shoes, and I had some On Clouds on, and then I looked over, and the two dads standing next to me had the exact same shoes on, and I'm like, I have to get a video of this. That's my shoes, and then the other two guys right next to me.
Did they know that you were filming their feet?
I tried to hide it a little bit. I tried to make it not obvious because it's awkward, and I obviously didn't show their faces or anything. But yeah, I looked down and I'm like, oh man, and then I was like, no way. I mean, 3 people in a row in a line with the exact same shoes on is pretty impressive. We're living our best dad life.
Yeah, those guys are famous now. Their feet are on national television for free. Ryan Stanish's going to join us on Friday, so we'll get a little Mets action because Mets have been struggling a little bit. We'll see if they get on track in the next couple days. They had a bad series against the Angels. They lost last night against the Rockies. Happy birthday, Mike Trout. Happy birthday, Tommy Kahnle. And also Cam Maben is back on for Thursday and Friday's shows. And good luck to the White Sox to go for 2 in a row tonight. AJ, will you be watching?
That would be a winning streak if they did it.
That is. 1 gamer is not a winning streak. 2 could be. And I promise we're not talking about probably for like a month.
I'm done.
Same.